Hi everyone, Leonardo here. Look, about a month and a half ago, in early December, I started working on this website. And this is a quick overview about 8 reasons of why at the time Bitcoin seemed like it was going to crash. Now, I am a trader. I trade futures, options, commodities, all kinds of stuff for a profit. From the standpoint uh, of market crash, Bitcoin crash, and some other things that were coming to my mind in December that turned out to be true or not. In this video, you will find the 8 reasons why Bitcoin, in a way, did crash, because if you visit my site, which is marketcrash.money, there's a few interesting data points that I have collected about the potential market crash in 2018, about the Bitcoin crash. So let's take a quick look, and I'm just going to try to keep this brief, but if you're interested, do visit my website. I do have some strategies listed here on how you can profit from further Bitcoin directional moves up, down, that is. But this is a quick overview for the 8 reasons why it was going to crash. So one of the most famous quotes of top investors of the last 100 years, Sir John Templeton: "This time it's different." So every time a new thing comes out, generally people tend to believe that this time it's no different. And we'll see some parabolic actions like we've seen in Bitcoin in December, or really throughout the entire year of 2017, that really acted like nothing else, pretty much, to the drastic rise that we have witnessed. Apparently, to some people, it was easy to make predictions when it was hitting 18-20,000 level that, hey, no, this is a totally different deal here. Look, it's going to hit 50,000. It's going to hit 100,000. It's going to hit 500,000 and 1,000,000, and other insane predictions like that were easy to make when, of course, where was it? It was around 18,800 when I started collecting some of these data points here. So 8 reasons why Bitcoin will crash soon, or will be worth less than today. I wrote this when it was at 18,800. Needless to say, today Bitcoin is at 8,500. Actually hit a low today of 84.60, which means that it literally fell more than half. I mean, we're talking about 60% drop. Now, when it was at 18.8, again, the general human nature is to make predictions that it's going to go high, because when they look at the graph in front of them, all it shows is an insane movement of the price going higher and higher and higher. So human psychology tends to look at such a situation and say, oh, there's no way this thing can drop. While in trading, exactly the opposite is true. When you see a huge parabolic movement like that, oftentimes it will be followed by a crash, in a sense. And by a crash, we mean here, where the price is going to drop rapidly 50 to 80, sometimes 90%. And we've seen that a lot with stocks that deal with Bitcoin or blockchain related, but indeed they may actually have nothing to do with blockchain. Good examples are Riot, ticker symbol RIOT. OSTK, Overstock, did not really drop a ton, but it did move from 85 to currently trading about 65. Now some have dropped from $8 to like $2, which would be 70-80% drop. But so what made me believe, of course, is this insane rise that was going to be followed by a pullback or a crash of some kind. But what really, over the last few weeks, when the price was still around 13 to 15,000 range, it was easy to figure out, because the signs were everywhere. Even Warren Buffett came out and said, look, my strategy would be this, and he said it publicly on television. If I had an option, I'd buy a ton of long-term puts on all cryptocurrencies. And of course, I do believe in the blockchain technology. I do believe it's got a bright future, and a lot of great things are going to happen as a result. However, the history does prove that when something does move parabolically higher, it does not necessarily mean that it will continue that trend for years to come, and that's exactly what we're seeing. So here's an analogy that I used here at the time that was coming to my mind. Okay, basically goes, do you remember the cell phones back in the 90s? And honestly, I remember my first cell phone, and it resembled nothing like the iPhone I have right now. And Apple was not even in the game when the cell phones were invented, but ultimately it created a way to find how to make a better cell phone that was much better than anything else was in the market. The touch key cell phone with internet, browser, and stuff like that. So was it the first one to market? No. But did it ultimately create the best cell phone or the top selling phone that captures majority of the market share? Yes. So the whole point here is a whole new asset class is created, the cryptocurrencies, that's based on blockchain technology. Bitcoin is the first to market, but it does not necessarily mean that it's going to be the ultimate cryptocurrencies is going to capture the majority of the market share. Okay, so just because it's first does not mean it's going to be the best over time. And the unlimited supply of alternative cryptocurrencies, like we see some strong price action in Ethereum, and has not been dropping as much as Bitcoin has, because essentially it does have more utility. It's not just a platform where you can transfer money to another person. Cryptocurrency, you can actually utilize the Ethereum platform for other businesses and create blockchain technology concepts based on the platform that they've got. So it creates a lot more utility than just the transfer of value, the transfer of money from one person to another. So the signs were everywhere. You'll see some big people that put a lot of money in Bitcoin come out and say that, hey, Bitcoin is going to be obsolete. You've seen some crazy stuff like the owner of Litecoin in December selling all of his coin holdings. I don't know if that's not a sign. It would be equivalent to, Apple CEO coming out and just selling all of his shares at once. I mean, how do you think that's going to impact the share price of Apple? Of course it's going to drop. Now, what's crazy about Litecoin at the time when the announcement was made that the owner and creator of Litecoin sold all of his holdings, it just dropped like 10-15%. I mean, it should have tanked like 50-60%, but no. I mean, it amazingly actually maintained to stay up there in the levels of 300 to 400 range for quite a while until it eventually dropped to, 180. So, but reason number two, the nature of trade in Bitcoin is literally based on hope and unrealistic predictions. Again, it's easy to predict when the price is going up, and the last thing you want to think that they actually drop. And when people are buying something in hopes that it's simply going to appreciate in value, that does not necessarily determine the value of a particular thing or asset, because as we've seen in the history times and times over, demand could be going up significantly for just a short period of time, as it was with tulips in the 1600s, and with some other prices and commodities over the years. So nothing can sustain a very strong demand. Again, if we're going back to the example of Apple iPhone, okay, yeah, the demand was exceptionally strong when it first came out because it was the only phone that had the features that it offered. Now later, Samsung, brought out a smartphone as well, and more competitors came out. So of course it did impact the demand for the iPhone. So some of these unnatural strong demands, they are simply temporarily. So we cannot assume that a strong demand is just going to stay, or get even stronger. And I think that's exactly what was happening in December. The price was reaching astronomical levels. There was just too much hype created. People could not see straight. They could only see this thing going higher and higher and higher. And such speculative demands for a particular thing, they never last. So in stocks, it could be compared to a particular retail company having exceptional earnings for a few quarters, and all of a sudden their sales drop down because the demand for the product drops down because another company came out with similar product, and all of a sudden their earnings of their quarter or their retail numbers just don't seem as good, and the stock tanks. So similar thing, or actually exactly the same thing as what happened here. Couple of good movies to watch here on the website to kind of break some of these things down. Number 3, there is a theory that just because more people are going to use Bitcoin, that the price of Bitcoin will keep climbing. And actually, it did produce exact the opposite result. Do you remember in around Christmas time in 2017, when everybody just rushed to buy Bitcoin? I mean, everybody and their mother and grandmother all of a sudden were Bitcoin experts, and they wanted to buy. And all the exchanges were so busy with the demand. And again, it was just a temporary demand, right? But this is what happened as the demand to buy Bitcoin increased. The network could not really handle such an influx of demand, and essentially the prices of the transactions were skyrocketing. The exchanges in return could not handle the demand, and so they were not really dealing with their verifications processes in an efficient manner. So a lot of people were ended up waiting for a couple of weeks before they were even granted an opportunity to buy and trade Bitcoin. So now more people are now, as of February 1st today, are using Bitcoin as a result of a huge price increase and run up in 2017 and December 2017 and particularly. However, where is the price of Bitcoin today? It's actually 60% less or 70% less than where it was in December. So that argument that everybody was using at the time, that hey, more people are going to come in and use Bitcoin and therefore the price is going to go higher, that argument did not work. As a matter of fact, less people the people that were using Bitcoin, and the cost of transactions were small, and were fond of the currency, they actually transferred and started using other currencies like Litecoin or Ethereum or other alternatives that were less costly and were providing similar solutions. So that myth is not true. Now, let's take a look at the dangers of forking Bitcoin. Okay, now the forking of Bitcoin was done for many reasons, and essentially, if you are looking at it now, there's kind of a war going on, and there's just too many forks out there, and they cannot agree on one simple thing, and that does create chaos, and it does affect the price of Bitcoin. So, in a way, as people were seeing, well, it's a great thing. I had a Bitcoin and now I'm getting Bitcoin Cash for free. Well, technically, you were not getting Bitcoin Cash for free as a dividend that a lot of people were thinking. Now, even though it was marketed and presented as Bitcoin Cash, it did take away from the demand for the Bitcoin itself. And the price is ultimately established by the supply and demand. So by creating more forks, you're really taking away from the demand for the main coin, which is Bitcoin, by creating Bitcoin Gold and Cash and all the forks. So, and ultimately, why did they want to do it? Well, there's arguments that, you know, they wanted to make the system faster. They wanted to improve the system. They wanted to, but all that required the original modification of the code. So, by actually forking the Bitcoin is an admission by itself that the original Bitcoin was not the coin of the future because it had definite limitations. And that takes us to reason number 5, why Bitcoin price was not sustainable and why it was going to fall. Most, actually, that's a later reason. I'm just going to jump through it here, I think. The network energy requirements. So there's definite limitation to scalability, and I believe that was the main reason why they decided to fork the Bitcoin and create, a deviation from the original coin that was going to be faster. But again, it does negatively impact the price of Bitcoin itself. And there's tons of arguments here in details, not from myself, which I am, again, I'm a trader, but from software programmers that explain this and who understand the matter of those details better than I do. So, number 5, okay, most people bought Bitcoin to make money, not to use it as money. And for money, the main idea of money is to be a good medium of exchange, and by certain means Bitcoin is a great way of exchange when you're dealing with higher dollar amounts. When you're trying to transfer 100,000 or a few 100,000 and it costs you $30, but when you're trying to transfer $3 and it costs you $30, all of a sudden it's not a very convenient medium of exchange. And of course, who on earth would do that, right? And on top of everything, well, if Bitcoin today is 18,000, and I truly believe it's going to keep going higher, then why would I even spend it? Because today for 18,000, for one Bitcoin, I'd buy a car. Next year, if I believe it's going to be worth 100,000, well, hey, I may be able to buy, a piece of land, or instead of a Honda, I'll buy a Maserati or something, okay, or I'll buy even a small condo somewhere for that. So, uh, you know, there is no really incentive to use it as money for daily, day-to-day transactions, such as, grocery stores or buying a simple cup of coffee. There's no incentive to doing that. There's a lot of incentive to keep it and profit on holding it, which is exactly why Bitcoin has really not fallen as much as it probably should, because a lot of people are holding it. They do believe that eventually it will go up. But in my theory of a trader that trades the graph and taking the whole Bitcoin idea or concept out of the equation, just looking at it from the standpoint of a trade, uh, I see two things. The fact that a lot of people are holding it, uh, yes, it did help the meteoric price move higher. However, at some point, if it keeps dropping lower, the people that were just so committed, almost like a cult, to even create a certain word for it instead of holding, they call it hodl. Those people that are hodling right now, when it's dropping to 84, 8,500 level, may not be hodling anymore when it's going to be at 6,000 or 5,000. And certainly if it drops below 5,000, more and more people are going to be throwing in the white towel, the white flag, saying, hey, I've had enough. At least, I will, keep something. Now, it's easier for some people to hold it or hodl it that really came in at a level of $1 or bought it under $1 and maybe even a few $100. But can you imagine somebody buying in at 17, 18,000 and now it's trading in the 8,000 level. At which point are they going to drop the white flag and surrender? And at this point, we have not seen any massive sell-offs in Bitcoin yet. Um, and with that comes two troubling thoughts. When it does happen, and people are going to run for the exit, which could happen at any moment in the next few days if the price goes any lower beyond where it's today. If that does materialize, then a lot of people are going to have a hard time withdrawing their money. The exchanges were not prepared for people to come in and buy Bitcoin at the level that everybody was getting in around Christmas. And now they're not prepared to really for people to get out at a meteoric rate. So it'll cause system failures, it'll cause system crashes. And once that happens, the panic is going to be inevitable. And as we were seeing exchanges just literally closing their websites for a few days, like Binance, to where nobody could even open an account, the same things are going to take place as people are running for the exit, trying to withdraw the money because the exchanges simply are not able to process all the requests to withdraw. So, this could be a total chaos, and it could really, within days, drive the price down to, 5,000-6,000 level. And ultimately, it may come up, but what I did learn as a trader is this: once a price is of a stock or anything drops significantly, in this particular case, we would be talking from Bitcoin dropping from 18,000-19,000 to like 5,000-6,000. Okay, once it's like a wounded stock. It's like a wounded animal. It takes time for it to recover. So apparently, we would not be seeing a meteoric rise again from 5,000-6,000 all of a sudden to 17,000-20,000 level. All right, so that's just some things to keep in mind. On top of that, here's one of the most disturbing things about this whole situation is the fact that when the price did go up, people actually went out there and they maxed out their credit cards to buy it from 13 to 20 grand. And they maxed out their cards. I mean, there's some people that went and borrowed money in other ways through finance companies. There are people that went out and mortgaged, took a home equity loan, and the rates of people doing that were skyrocketing. And so a lot of people right now are going to end up being stuck with a credit card, with a home equity loan that needs to be paid. People were borrowing money at such a rapid pace, thinking that they're going to be making money and therefore easily repay those debts, but that is not obviously what is happening. And knowing the nature of people, those that did get in at 15 to 20,000 level, they're getting out now. They're probably sitting looking at the screen right now thinking, hey, I should sell. I should sell before it drops to 5,000, at least get some kind of money back. You cannot change the human nature. So, hey, if you're curious to get some more details on this, visit my site, marketcrash.money. If you're curious how to make some money trading this insane Bitcoin price movements, you can schedule a consultation on my site. I've been doing this for a while, again, with all sorts of commodities and stocks and options and futures. I can definitely help you get started, but the opportunities are definitely there. The number 6 we did talk about was the limitation of scalability, which some of the other new coins that are coming out right now, they are really offering a great solution to the scalability limitation of Bitcoin. And ultimately, that will affect the price of Bitcoin in a negative way. And we may be seeing the effects of that already priced in right now. So here's a video about the Litecoin owner selling all of his coins. And again, the market just didn't even react. Here's what some billionaires say. They do have fears. They have two fears of what could drive the Bitcoin lower. Again, marketcrash.money. Just click on the Bitcoin crash tab and you'll be able to view all this information. It's nicely gathered in one place for you. Now, army of regulators has been dispatched and it will only get worse in 2018. We all know that the regulation is not going to get any lighter. It will only get stricter. Therefore, in some instances, for an average person, will make them think twice whether they should get into crypto space or not. So there's some definite challenges. We knew about those challenges a year ago. It didn't stop the price of Bitcoin. But as we see more and more examples of how regulators are coming after those that are involved in either crypto exchanges that are failing or other areas, Bitcoin wallets being stolen and people losing money. More and more people are suing the exchanges. There's just more and more bad stuff is coming out, which was not apparent, but as they, in the last couple of years, but as they dominate the news, I think more and more people are going to double guess whether Bitcoin is a real deal, and regardless of whether it is or not, it may prevent them from getting into the crypto space. So some more details. If you still have any doubts about Bitcoin crash, I got some good material here you can listen to. But look, ultimately, blockchain is an awesome thing. Whether Bitcoin is going to crash or not, there's certainly a lot of reasons why it can. If you're looking to trade, you can definitely profit both from Bitcoin crash and from Bitcoin rise, because nothing drops ultimately in just one move. There's always, if you look at the chart, if you look at the graph, whether it deals with a stock or a futures or a commodity, they always go up, pull back, go up, pull back, and then the trend could reverse to where they're now trending downwards like Bitcoin, but it's going to go down and then it's going to go up a little bit and then it's going to go down again. All that creates awesome opportunities for those that are trying to make money trading it. And a lot of people that want to trade Bitcoin, they simply end up buying it and selling the Bitcoin itself, which, again, if everybody runs for the exit, that could be a very dangerous thing to do, because, hey, you may not be able to get your money out. It may be taking months to get your money out if the panic explodes. And so right now, not many people realize that trading stock options on companies that are dealing or perceived to be dealing with Bitcoin or blockchain or other crypto things out there, that you don't have to have Bitcoin to trade those options on those stocks. So if you're curious to know how to profit, visit marketcrash.money, read some good information, look at some videos here, ultimately click how to profit, and schedule a training session with me. It is $89, but it is very well worth it, because I will actually take my time with you, and I've been trading for 12 years. I will show you real life examples where I've taken 12,000 and turned it into 466,000 in less than 7 hours. I've also recently did a study where I've taken $72 and have taken it to $2,400 in 5 trading sessions. And of course, it's a lot harder to do it with smaller amount, but my example just shows that it is true, it is possible, and I can show you where you can get started regardless of how much money you may have available right now. but the opportunities are so huge that you can easily gain 100 to 300% returns. Some of my returns easily range in 4,000% bracket. And if you want to learn, I'm not guaranteeing that you'll go out tomorrow, use my strategies, and you'll generate 3 or 4,000% your next day. But if you do educate yourself on the matter, if you do have somebody to guide you that have done it, you will have much greater success. And I promise you, if I had a coach, a trainer, somebody that over the last 12 years was there for me, I would have avoided ton and ton of mistakes, and ultimately would have saved a ton of money, which I could have used in return to trade, invest, and I would have been able to be of much greater service to a lot more people a lot sooner. So if you're looking at trading, this is a great place to start. I will personally talk to you one-on-one. Just visit my site, marketcrash.money. Click on the link How to Profit. Read a little bit of information and book your session. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful to some of you. And if you are looking to become a better trader, definitely visit my site and click the link How to Profit. Thanks for your time.